Welcome back. Let's talk today a little bit about working with some more basic drawing and editing commands, and start off with rectangles. We talked a little bit about rectangles in the last tutorial where we were talking about command line options and how rectangles had a lot of different command line options. Well, I'm just going to go over rectangles again real briefly. Again, as always, to begin, let's make sure that we've got a workspace set up similar to mine, make it a little bit easier on you. To do that, go to your Tools pull-down menu, go to the top one, Workspaces, slide over, click on AutoCAD Classic, and you should get a workspace that looks similar to mine. Rectangle command on my toolbar, on my Draw toolbar over here on the left, got a button that looks like a rectangle. If I click on that, it's going to start my rectangle command. And it's going to ask me to start off with specify the first corner point and then any of these options here that I have. And if you're wondering how these command options work, go back and look at the previous tutorial working with command line options, and that'll explain how a lot of this works. So anyway, it's asking me to specify my first point. Well, like anything else, I'm going to use my pick button or my index finger mouse button, and I'm going to pick a corner. And what AutoCAD is asking me to do, or wanting me to do, is to pick the opposite corner, and that's how it's going to define the rectangle. So notice my command line now, it says specify other corner point and then some of these options. Well, I'm going to disregard the and these other options, and I'm just going to specify the other corner point. So I've picked my first point right here. Now I'm going to drag the opposite corner, and I'm going to pick. Now I've defined my rectangle. One thing that you can do when you're defining rectangles, remember in one of the previous tutorials we talked about drawing using coordinates, or the coordinate system. Well, rectangle is an excellent time when I can use relative coordinates. Okay? What I'm going to do is when I pick my second point, I'm going to define it by giving it an XY coordinate relative to the first corner. Okay? This is how that works. I'm going to start my rectangle command. It's asking me for my first corner point. I'm just going to pick right here. Now it's asking me for my second corner point. Now, instead of picking a point out here, if I want a rectangle that is, let's say, 10 units in the X direction, 5 units in the Y direction, then I'm going to use my relative coordinates, and I'm going to type in the @ symbol. Notice on my command line I typed in the @ symbol, and remember the @ symbol stands for, or takes the place of, the term from the last point picked. That's how I like to remember it. So from the last point picked, I'm going to use the @ symbol. From the last point picked, I want to go 10, 5. Notice on my command line, @ 10, 5. From the last point picked, I'm going to go 10 in the X, 5 in the Y. Then I just hit enter, and I've drawn a rectangle 10 units in the X, 5 units in the Y, starting with that point, the very first point that I picked. I'm going to do that again. Start the rectangle command. It's asking me for my first corner point. I'm just going to pick right here. It's asking me for the opposite corner. I'm going to use my relative coordinates, and let's say this time I want a rectangle that is 10 units wide and 15 units tall. Well, that's 10 units in the X, 15 in the Y. So when it's asking me to specify the other corner, I'm going to type in the @ symbol, 10, 15. From the last point picked, 10 units in the X, 15 units in the Y. I hit enter, and there's my rectangle. Okay, a perfect 10 unit wide rectangle by 15 unit tall rectangle. Okay, there's other options there on the command line for rectangle. I recommend playing with those. Chamfer, elevation, fillet, thickness, and width. For right now, I'd probably stay away from the elevation. That gets into some 3D stuff, and as a new user, you probably don't want to dive into that just yet. But play with chamfer, fillet. Same thing with thickness. Don't mess with that one too much. But play with chamfer, fillet, and width. Okay? That's it on rectangles. Let's talk about circles a little bit. As a new user working with circles, I'm going to start my circle command here. As a new user starting with circles, circles have a lot of different options. There are a lot of different ways to define circles. My recommendation is instead of using the toolbar to start your circle command, I would go to your draw pull-down menu, go to the circle, it's about halfway down, and then slide over and you'll see that there's 6 different ways that you can define circles. I would use this based on whatever works for you at the time. Circles, like I said, there's 6 different ways to define a circle, and this makes it just a little bit more clear, a little more visual when you're learning how to define these circles. One way I can define a circle is by center radius. That's the very top one. That means I'm going to give it the center point of the circle, and then I'm going to type in the radius. Pretty simple, right? The next one is center diameter. Pretty similar. I'm going to pick the center of the circle, and then I'm going to type in the diameter. I'm going to give it a value. The next one down is 2 points, where I'm going to pick 2 points, and it's going to draw a circle across those 2 points. The other one is 3 points. I'm going to pick 3 points, and it's going to draw the circle and touch 3 of those points. Then we have tangent, tangent, radius, tangent to one object, tangent to another object I select, and then I'm going to type the radius. Then tangent, 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 which I'm going to pick 3 objects, and it's going to draw a circle tangent to all 3 of those objects. Let's start off with circle radius. I'm going to start that command. It says circle, specify center point of circle. I'm going to pick somewhere here on my screen. And now it's saying specify the radius, or I have the option of diameter. But I'm going to go ahead and just leave it at radius, specify the radius, and I am going to type in 5. So I type 5, hit enter. Now I've just drawn a circle defined by that point that I selected for the center with a radius of 5. Let's erase that, go to draw, go about halfway down, pick on circle, this time center diameter. I'm going to pick the center point. Now it's asking me specify the diameter of the circle. So instead of typing in the radius, this time I'm going to type in diameter. This time I'm going to give it a diameter of 15. Type in 15, hit enter. Now I've drawn a circle with that center point and a diameter of 15. Erase that. I'm going to go down to circle. This time I'm going to define it by 2 points. It's asking me for the first point. Now it's asking me for the second point across the diameter. I picked there. That one's, there's various reasons or various uses for that, but you won't use that very often. Probably won't, at least. I'm going to go down to the draw pull down, go to circle, 3 points. Let's say I have 3 points that I have. Let's see, I'm just going to draw little markers here. Let's say I want a circle that runs through all those. I'm going to draw circle, 3 points. I'm going to pick here, here, and there. And it's drawn a circle through those 3 points. Play with these options. I'm going through them pretty quickly, but definitely you want to take some time and play with these options. Circle, tangent, tangent, radius. Okay, this time I'm going to draw 2 lines. And I'm going to go to my circle, tangent, tangent, radius. It's saying specify a point on an object for the first tangent. I'm going to pick somewhere on this object, and then specify a point for a second tangent. I'm going to pick this point. Now it's asking for a radius. I'm going to type in 10, and it's going to draw a circle that's tangent to those 2 objects that has a radius of 10. And then the last option, circle, tangent, tangent, tangent. Let me draw 3 lines. And draw, circle, tangent, tangent, tangent. It's asking me for my first tangent point, my second tangent point, and my third tangent point, and it's going to draw a circle tangent to all those. That's the circle command in a nutshell. Like I said, there's 6 different ways to draw it. I would definitely play with that a little bit, practice with the circle, and as a new user, I would definitely use this pull-down menu to define your circle. A little bit easier to see those and get used to how those work. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial. Bye-bye.